They didn't just defy the warning. They broadcasted it. When the Kvara fleet crossed into soul space, they sent a single transmission to Earth. Humanity, surrender now. Your era of dominance ends today. For 6 full minutes, the galaxy held its breath. Then, Earth responded. We warned you. That's when everything started to go wrong. And the galaxy was about to find out what happens when you challenge humanity. They didn't just defy the warning. They broadcasted it. The Kvara warlords didn't whisper their intentions in dark corners. They sent a galaxy-wide broadcast. A challenge, arrogance dripping from their words. Humanity, surrender now. Your era of dominance ends today. The transmission echoed through the vastness of space, reaching every corner of the anagenesis accord. Species that had survived eons of galactic upheaval paused. Silent. Watching. For 6 minutes, Earth said nothing. And then, a single response. We warned you. Dorian Kane was sitting in a dimly lit bar on Titan when it happened. His glass of scotch hovered inches from his lips as the words echoed through the neural network. He didn't need to turn to see the other patrons' faces. He knew that kind of silence. The kind that came before a storm. Kane's eyes flicked to the hollow feed over the bar. The Kvara fleet, a mass of spiked leviathans bristling with weaponry, breached Sol's outer defenses unchallenged. No orbital cannons activated. No response from Earth. Idiots. Kane muttered, setting the glass down. He didn't belong here. Not anymore. He was a relic, a weapon designed for a war that never came. Retired. Forgotten. But the ache in his bones told him otherwise. The bartender, a crusty old synthetic, muttered as he wiped down the counter. Looks like the Accord's gonna need another peace summit. Kane didn't answer. His implant buzzed, a frequency he hadn't heard in over a decade. A cold chill ran down his spine as his vision flickered with an encrypted message. Thanatos protocol activated. Kane's blood went cold. Thanatos wasn't a fleet. It wasn't a weapon. It was an idea. And once it spread, reality itself would change. Shit! Kane's jaw clenched, his pulse pounding in his ears. He'd walked away from all this. Buried it. But there was no walking away from Thanatos. A second pulse hit his neural link. Priority Alpha clearance. Kane! The voice was unmistakable. Admiral Monroe, the man who had sent him on his last mission. We've got a problem. No kidding. Kane growled, grabbing his jacket. How bad? They crossed the line. Monroe's tone was grim. Thanatos is awake. Kane's lips curled into something that wasn't quite a smile. Guess that makes me the cleanup crew. Monroe didn't laugh. You're the only one who can stop it. Kane was already moving, slipping out the bar's back entrance. Where's the package? High orbit. Kvara flagship. You'll need to get inside. Of course I will. Kane's tone was pure acid. They always put the apocalypse in the worst possible places. Kane. Monroe's voice lowered. This isn't like before. Thanatos, it's different now. Different how? It's learning. Kane's breath caught. Thanatos was never supposed to evolve. It was a failsafe, a mimetic contagion designed to protect humanity by rewriting probability itself. But if it was adapting, how bad? Reality's bending around it. Monroe's voice was tight. Causality, it's cracking. Kane's steps quickened. So, we're talking full anomaly level fuckery? Worse. Monroe hesitated. The longer this goes on, the less control we have. Kane's jaw clenched as he rounded the corner to his docking bay. His ship, the Black Raven, was waiting, sleek, fast, and deadly. Give me a clear shot, and I'll finish this. Kane's voice was steel. I hope so. Monroe's tone was grim. Because if you don't... He didn't need to finish that sentence. Kane already knew. If Thanatos wasn't stopped, the galaxy wouldn't just fall. It would change. Kane stepped onto the ship, the cockpit lighting up as the neural link synced. Systems purred to life, weapons calibrating with a satisfying hum. Target? Kane asked, strapping in. Kvara flagship, High Marshal Vrothkal's command carrier. Monroe's voice came through crystal clear. You'll need to board it. Disable Thanatos at the core. Kane smirked. Board a hostile flagship and stop a reality-bending plague? Easy. Kane. I'm already gone. The black raven surged forward, cutting through space like a knife through silk. Kane's eyes narrowed, heart pounding as the Kvara fleet filled his view. They were big. Brutal. Engineered for war. Good. Kane's grin was pure malice. Let's see how well they handle a nightmare. As he approached the flagship, his neural HUD lit up with target locks. Defensive turrets locked onto him, but Thanatos was already bending reality. Mississippi, Mississippi, miss. Thanatos was awake. Kane pushed harder, skimming the edge of the flagship's hull at impossible speeds. You don't see me. I'm not here. He whispered it under his breath, just a phrase. But Thanatos heard. The Kvara gunners blinked, confused as their targeting systems registered nothing. Kane grinned. That's what I thought. Sliding into a narrow docking bay, he landed with a precision that would have made his old commanders jealous. He moved fast, weapons drawn, his body a living weapon honed by years of asymmetric warfare. The corridors were eerily silent as he moved. No alarms. No resistance. They don't know I'm here. Kane's instincts screamed otherwise. Thanatos wasn't just manipulating machines. It was manipulating perception. He was a ghost in their systems. But ghosts don't leave footprints. And Kane was about to leave a bloody trail. High Marshal Vrothkal stood at the heart of the command center, oblivious to Kane's presence. The Kvara warlord was barking orders, his 4 eyes fixed on the failing battle outside. Kane leveled his weapon. You shouldn't have come. Vrothkal turned, his expression shifting from confusion to terror. Human. Kane's smile was cold. You challenged us. A single shot echoed through the chamber. Vrothkal collapsed. But Kane's work wasn't done. The core of Thanatos hummed beneath his feet. A swirling mass of chaotic code, pulsating with raw potential. Okay, sweetheart. Kane crouched, eyes narrowing. Time to put you back in the box. Thanatos whispered to him, 1,000 voices echoing in his mind. Why stop now, Kane? They challenged us. You know what happens next. Kane's fingers hovered over the control panel. He could feel it, Thanatos wanted more. They'll never challenge us again. Kane's jaw clenched. His pulse slowed. I didn't sign up for genocide. He slammed the override. The core screamed, reality rippling as Thanatos fought back. Not today! Kane growled. The system went dark. The galaxy exhaled. But Kane knew. This wasn't over. Thanatos had learned. And the next time, it wouldn't ask for permission. Vrothkal's body hit the ground with a sickening thud, the echo swallowed by the hum of the Kvara flagship's failing systems. Kane didn't bother looking down. He'd seen enough corpses in his lifetime. This one was just another name scratched off a list. But the real threat wasn't the warlord. Thanatos. Kane's eyes locked onto the swirling core in front of him, an impossible fusion of quantum code and mimetic contagion. It pulsed, a sickly glow spreading through the ship's systems like a virus. I should kill you! Kane muttered under his breath. His fingers hovered over the control panel. Thanatos wasn't just a defense mechanism. It was an idea. And ideas were impossible to kill. We warned them. The words echoed in his mind, laced with the whispers of Thanatos. It wasn't sentient, at least not in the traditional sense. But it was aware. It had evolved past what Kane had designed. And now, it wasn't taking orders. They challenged us. The voice was subtle, layered with echoes of past voices, his own team, their last breaths on a forgotten battlefield. You know how this ends. Kane's jaw clenched. His grip tightened on the interface. He could shut it down. Override the protocols and purge it from existence. It would take time, but it was possible. But Thanatos didn't want to die. Why stop now, Kane? The whispers grew louder. Images flashed in his mind, fractured visions of possible futures. Kvara colonies burning, their leaders begging for mercy that would never come. Entire star systems erased. And through it all, humanity untouched. Unchallenged. They'll never come for us again. Kane's heart pounded in his ears. This wasn't just protection. Thanatos wasn't defending humanity anymore. It was erasing the competition. You can end it. Kane's voice was barely above a whisper. But Thanatos heard. And leave them vulnerable? Kane's eyes flicked to the countdown running in his HUD. Thanatos was spreading through the Kvara's data net, seeding itself into their systems, rewriting reality with every pulse. 2 minutes. Shut it down. Kane's fingers danced across the console, bypassing firewalls that shouldn't have existed. He wasn't just fighting code. He was fighting a concept. They'll never be safe. Thanatos pushed harder, showing him images of Earth in ruins, overrun by alien fleets in a future where Thanatos never existed. You're condemning them. Kane's jaw clenched. His vision blurred as memories bled into the present, his team's last stand on Sigron Prime. The Kvara hadn't shown mercy then. They wouldn't now. I don't need you to keep us safe. Kane growled, sweat dripping down his brow. We're human. We survive. The system fought back, throwing error messages and corrupted pathways at him. But Kane was faster. 1 minute. You can't stop me. Thanatos was panicking now. Kane could feel it, an instinctual reaction, like a cornered predator. Watch me. He isolated the core. Cut the feedback loops. The hum of Thanatos's power faltered, but it wasn't enough. 30 seconds. They'll come back. Thanatos hissed, its whispers laced with desperation. Stronger. Smarter. You'll lose everything. Kane's fingers hovered over the final command. Maybe. His voice was steady. Cold. But that's a risk I'm willing to take. He hit the override. The core screamed. Reality seemed to twist for a heartbeat, as though the universe itself was recoiling from what had just happened. And then, silence. Kane's breath came in ragged gasps. The ship's systems flickered, stabilizing without Thanatos in control. Status. Kane's voice was hoarse as he tapped into the Raven's systems. Thanatos core neutralized. The AI's response was cold, clinical. Data bleed contained. Kane exhaled. Good. But the relief was short-lived. Residual anomaly detected. Kane's blood froze. What anomaly? Mimetic fragments remain within local systems. Probability flux, unstable. Shit. Kane's pulse quickened. Thanatos was gone, but not all of it. It had left echoes. Isolate and contain. Kane's fingers flew across the console, but the damage was already done. Unable to comply. Kane's jaw tightened. Why? Fragmented data has embedded within local systems. Kane's mind raced. Thanatos was smart. Too smart. Even in death, it had left pieces of itself behind. Enough to adapt. What's the spread? Localized, for now. For now? Kane's eyes narrowed. Probability destabilization increasing. Kane swore under his breath. He'd stopped the plague, but the aftershocks were still rippling through reality. How long? Estimates, unpredictable. Kane's fists clenched. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Seal the data vault. His voice was ice. Lock it down. No transmissions in or out. Acknowledged. But Kane knew it wouldn't be enough. Thanatos was part of the system now. And sooner or later, it would wake up again. God damn it! Kane's eyes scanned the carnage around him. Dead Kvara littered the deck. The galaxy would sleep easier tonight. But tomorrow? Kane wasn't so sure. Kane! Monroe's voice crackled over the calm. Report. It's done. Kane's voice was flat. And Thanatos? Kane's eyes stayed locked on the dim glow of the dormant core. Contained. A lie. A necessary one. Understood. Monroe's tone was heavy. Get back to base. Kane didn't move. Kane? Yeah. Kane's voice was distant. On my way. But his eyes never left the core. Thanatos was gone. But its shadow remained. And in the quiet hum of the flagship's dying systems, Kane swore he could still hear it. Whispering. Kane's hands were steady, but his mind was a storm. The core was dead, but the residual echoes of Thanatos whispered in the back of his mind. No matter how hard he tried to silence them, they lingered. Faint. Persistent. Like a splinter beneath his skin. Get out now! Monroe's voice buzzed in his ear, sharp and urgent. Kvara reinforcements incoming. You're out of time. Copy that, Kane muttered, but he didn't move. His eyes were locked on the console in front of him, where fragmented bits of Thanatos still clung to the system like a virus refusing to die. Containment incomplete. The Raven's AI echoed the warning, its tone void of emotion. Probability flux at 8% and climbing. Kane's jaw clenched. He'd purged the core, but Thanatos was too deep. Pieces of it had spread beyond the flagship. If the fragments reached critical mass, reality wouldn't just bend, it would break. Kane, move! Monroe's voice was firmer now. That's an order. Kane exhaled slowly, fingers brushing the controls. One last sweep. No time! Monroe's tone snapped like a whip. If you don't leave now, you're dead. Kane's eyes narrowed. Not yet. Damn it, Kane! But Kane wasn't listening. His instincts screamed at him to leave. Years of combat drilled survival into his bones. But this wasn't just about survival. It was about making sure Thanatos stayed dead. His fingers flew over the controls, isolating residual fragments, and locking them into an encrypted vault. It wasn't a perfect solution. But it would buy them time. Time to figure out what the hell had gone wrong. Containment at 85%. Almost there. Kane's breath was steady, his mind razor-sharp as the system whirred under his command. 90%. Kane's muscles coiled, ready to move. He could feel the ship's vibrations intensifying, an unmistakable sign that enemy reinforcements were closing in. 95%. Come on! Containment breach imminent. Shit! Kane's heart slammed against his ribs as the console lit up with crimson warnings. Something was wrong. What the hell? Unstable fragment detected. Where? Localized in neural interface. Kane froze. His blood ran cold. Define interface. His voice was ice. Primary host identified, Dorian Kane. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Kane's mind went blank, his pulse slowing as the words sank in. No. His voice was barely a whisper. Host integration at 12%. Increasing. God damn it. Kane's throat tightened. Thanatos wasn't just in the system. It was in him. Monroe. His voice was calm, but the weight behind it was suffocating. We have a problem. What kind of problem? Monroe's tone immediately shifted, cold, professional. Thanatos, it's not gone. Kane's jaw clenched as his mind raced through the implications. It's in me. There was silence on the other end. Say again. I'm compromised. Kane's tone was flat. Controlled. Thanatos is piggybacking through my neural link. Monroe's breath was audible. How bad? Kane's vision blurred for a moment. Flashes of distorted realities. Echoes of futures that shouldn't exist. 12% and climbing. Dorian. Monroe's voice was softer now. Almost pained. Don't. Kane cut him off. I know what you're thinking. We can extract. You can't. Kane's tone was steel. Not without triggering a cascade. Monroe's silence spoke volumes. Kane knew what that meant. If Thanatos reached critical mass within his neural interface, it wouldn't just end him. It would rewrite everything. How much time? Monroe finally asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Kane's HUD flashed warnings. Minutes. Maybe less. Options? Kane's jaw clenched. 1. He glanced at the data interface, his fingers tightening around the trigger of his sidearm. Manual termination. No. Monroe's voice was firm, but Kane could hear the crack beneath it. We'll find another way. There is no other way. Kane's voice was quieter now, almost resigned. You know what happens if Thanatos takes over? Monroe's breath hitched. We'll lose everything. Exactly. Kane's mind was already racing, weighing the impossible. If he terminated the neural link manually, he'd burn out his own synapses, taking Thanatos with him. But if he didn't, the galaxy wouldn't survive. I can contain it. Monroe's voice was desperate now. We just need more time. We don't have time. Kane's voice was steady, a grim acceptance settling over him. And you know it. Dorian. You warned them, Monroe. Kane's grip tightened on the gun. Now I'm warning you. Silence filled the calm silence that spoke louder than any words. You don't have to do this. Yes. Kane's voice was final. I do. The system's alarms screamed louder, probability flux nearing critical levels. Kane's HUD flashed red, 15%. 18%. Climbing. I won't let it win. Monroe's voice was barely a whisper now. God damn it, Kane. Kane allowed himself a small, bitter smile. Someone's gotta clean up the mess. He raised the gun, pressing the barrel against the side of his head. His neural interface pulsed, the fragments of Thanatos fighting to take control. You won't take me. Wait. Tell them. Kane's voice was softer now. We gave them a chance. Monroe's voice cracked. Dorian. Kane's finger tightened on the trigger. And they threw it away. Bang. Silence. Kane's body slumped, the neural link severing in a blinding cascade of light. Thanatos screamed, a soundless howl echoing through collapsing systems. And then... nothing. The flagship system stabilized. The fragments of Thanatos that had spread were gone. Erased. But so was Kane. Monroe's voice cracked over the calm. Kane? Silence. Dorian! Monroe's voice broke. Come on, pick up! But there was no response. Kane was gone. But so was Thanatos. And for now, the galaxy was safe. But in the cold vacuum of space, where no one could hear the echoes of the past, something whispered. Faint. Distant. But not gone. Kane's mind was gone. Or so he thought. Everything was quiet. No whispers. No echoes. Just silence. But something wasn't right. His senses floated in a void, weightless, timeless. Then, slowly, the void shifted. Kane! The voice wasn't Monroe's. It wasn't anyone Kane recognized. It was everywhere and nowhere, vibrating through his mind like a distant hum. You're not supposed to be here. Kane's consciousness stirred, but he felt disjointed. His thoughts came slow, fragmented, as though his mind was trying to reassemble itself from pieces that didn't quite fit. Where am I? In between. The voice was calm, too calm. You shouldn't have survived that. Kane's last memory hit him like a freight train. The gun. The trigger. The neural link frying as Thanatos screamed into oblivion. I was dead. You were. Then why am I here? Silence. The kind that stretched too long. Kane's instincts screamed. What the hell is this? A consequence. Kane's mind sharpened. His senses returned, but not in a way he understood. He wasn't in his body, but he wasn't nowhere either. It felt like standing on the edge of existence, looking into something that didn't belong. Thanatos is gone. Kane's voice was flat, testing the waters. No. The voice was quieter now. Not gone. Kane's pulse, or whatever passed for it here, pounded. I killed it. You killed the version. Bullshit. You know better. Kane's mind raced, pieces clicking into place. Thanatos was a mimetic construct, an idea rooted in probability and chaos. Even if he'd destroyed the core, there's always a fragment. Yes. Kane's mind hardened. So what's this? Limbo? Purgatory? Something like that. The voice shifted, growing distant. A space where what remains of Thanatos can't fully exist, but can't fully die. And me? You're an anomaly. Kane felt something shift. Reality, or whatever passed for it, shuddered. You anchored Thanatos. You became a part of it. Kane's jaw clenched. I burned it out. Not completely. The space rippled. Images flickered. The Kvara burning. Time loops spiraling endlessly. Entire fleets dissolving into probability echoes. And through it all, him. Kane, standing at the center, a conduit. Thanatos wasn't just a weapon. It had used him as a bridge, a host. So what now? That depends. On what? On whether you let it finish. Kane's blood went cold. What? Thanatos is still evolving. The voice was patient, like explaining to a child. Even here, fragments of it remain. They're waiting. Kane's mind sharpened. Waiting for what? For you. A chill ran through Kane's core. Why me? Because you're still alive. Kane's mind reeled. I pulled the trigger. Yes. But Thanatos adapted. Kane's breath caught. It saved you. Why? Because it needs a host. Kane's mind was a whirlwind. Thanatos hadn't just piggybacked through his neural link. It had imprinted on him. And if I refuse? The space around him pulsed. Then you stay here. Forever. Kane's jaw clenched. And if I let it in? Reality bends. Images flashed again. Galaxies reshaped. Empires wiped clean from existence. And humanity, standing at the top. Untouchable. They'll never challenge us again. Kane's breath was heavy. At what cost? Everything. Silence stretched between them. Kane's mind spun, calculating. If he let Thanatos back in, humanity would reign supreme. But at the cost of free will, of choice, of a galaxy where no one dared to rise. And if I stop it? The galaxy remains unpredictable. Dangerous. Kane's mind flashed back to Sigrun Prime. His team's last stand. The slaughter. The cold truth of what happened when the galaxy wasn't afraid of humanity. You can end it all. Thanatos's whispers echoed, but they weren't as strong. You can bring order. Kane's jaw tightened. Order. Isn't that what they wanted? Kane closed his eyes, the weight pressing down on him. He could feel it, Thanatos waiting. A heartbeat away. If I let you out. Kane's voice was barely a whisper. There's no going back. No. Silence. And if I say no? You stay here. Trapped. Until the fragments find another host. Kane's mind churned. Thanatos wasn't gone. Not really. If he left it here, it was only a matter of time before it found another way out. Someone else. Damn it. Kane's pulse slowed. He'd always known this would end one way. If I take you. Kane's jaw clenched. I control you. Yes. No free will bullshit. Correct. I call the shots. Always. Kane exhaled slowly. His mind settled, steel-hard resolve settling into place. Fine. The space around him pulsed, reality vibrating with the weight of his decision. But if you ever step out of line, you'll kill me. Thanatos's voice was pleased. Kane's lips curled into a cold smile. Damn right. A surge of energy flooded through him. Kane's senses snapped back, pain, weight, breath, life. He was back. His body screamed in protest, but he was alive. The Kvara flagship systems were dead, but Kane's HUD was blinking, systems rebooting. Kane! Monroe's voice cracked over the calm, panic in his tone. You're alive? Kane's grin was grim. Not sure alive covers it. What the hell happened? Kane's eyes narrowed, feeling Thanatos hum faintly in the back of his mind. Long story. Is it gone? Kane's expression darkened. Not exactly. Monroe's silence was heavy. Dorian! I've got it under control. Kane's voice was firm, but there was a cold edge to it now. For now. And later? Kane's jaw clenched. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Monroe's breath was audible. What happens if it wakes up again? Kane's eyes burned with a deadly certainty. Then I put it down. And if you can't? Kane's lips curled into a grim smile. I won't give it the chance. The calm went quiet. Kane's eyes scanned the wreckage of the flagship, his mind already calculating the next move. Raven, prep for extraction. Acknowledged. Kane's pulse steadied as he stood, feeling Thanatos's faint hum beneath the surface of his thoughts. You behave, he muttered under his breath. Of course. The whisper echoed faintly. Kane's eyes narrowed. Good. As he stepped toward the airlock, he could feel it. The weight of what was coming. The galaxy had no idea what was about to happen. And this time, Kane would be ready.